Of all the craftspeople in the vibrant, sun-drenched Ukwewa village, none held a gift as rare as Adom, a young weaver whose hands understood the silent language of thread and loom. He worked not in a grand workshop, but in the shaded courtyard of his family's compound, under the watchful branches of a great baobab tree. His kente and oak were not just cloth, they were stories. He wove the resilience of the drought-resistant acacia into the warriors' sashes and the joyous chaos of the market day into the women's wraps. But his greatest test was delivered on the dusty wind one evening. The summons came from the king's palace, a magnificent structure of red earth and carved wooden pillars that stood at the heart of the village. The messenger, a young man adorned with cobalt blue beads, found Adom at his loom, the setting sun setting the threads ablaze. "The king requests your presence, weaver Adom," the messenger announced, his voice formal. "The festival of the rains approaches. This year, the tribute to the Earth Orisha must be a cloth that sings of our land's very soul." The palace courtyard was filled with the scent of wood smoke and groundnut stew. King Jabari, a powerful man with a voice that rumbled like distant thunder, sat on his carved stool, flanked by his advisors. To his right stood Safu, another weaver. Safu's patterns were mathematically perfect, his lines razor straight, but they were cold, born of ambition, not love. He watched Adom's approach, his eyes sharp with a familiar, simmering jealousy. "Adom," the king began, his deep voice silencing the evening insects. "Our valley's lifeblood is the rain, a gift from the Orisha. This year, the dry season has been long and cruel. Our tribute must be a masterpiece, a plea woven in thread. You will create this cloth." Adom bowed deeply. "I am humbled, great king. What is your vision?" King Jabari's eyes grew distant. "It must hold the spirit of Ukwewa, the rich, dark umber of the earth after the first rain, the brilliant green of new shoots on the sorghum stalks, the fiery orange of the marigolds that bless our fields, and the color of the storm sky itself, a deep, powerful indigo. But above all, Adom, it must be woven with truth, for the Orisha sees the heart within the thread." Safu's jaw tightened. This commission was immortality. He would not let the humble son of yam farmers claim it. Adom, feeling the immense weight, spoke with care. "King, to capture these essences, the dyes will require sacred things. The umber earth can only be collected from the termite mounds at the northern plateau. The green, that comes from the crushed leaves of the Orisha tree, but only the topmost leaves kissed by the morning sun. The orange is from the rare tiger marigold that blooms only near the waterfall's mist. And the indigo." He paused. "The indigo is not just a dye. It must be the deepest shade, achieved over 20 cycles of dipping and oxidizing. And within its pattern, we must weave strands of pure silver to mimic the lightning that heralds the storm." The king nodded, impressed. "You shall have all you ask. The village will provide. You have until the new moon. Do not fail us." As Adom turned to leave, Safu fell into step beside him, his voice a low, venomous whisper. "A lofty task for a boy who still smells of the soil. Can your simple loom, and your simple mind, hold such grandeur?" Adom met his gaze without malice. "The loom is wood and string, Safu. It is the spirit of the weaver that gives it life." Adom's work began not with the shuttle, but with a journey. 4 days, he traveled to the northern plateau, gathering the dark, mineral-rich earth from the towering termite mounds, always offering a prayer of thanks to the insects for their labor. The village watched him go. Safu watched from the shade of his own finely thatched hut, a plan coiling in his heart. At dawn, Adom would climb the great Orisha tree, harvesting only the sun-touched leaves at its crown. He journeyed to the thundering waterfall and, with immense patience, collected the vibrant petals of the tiger marigold from within the cool spray. The indigo vat was his greatest ritual. He prepared it in a large pot, a fermented brew of the indigo leaves, cassava tubers, and wood ash, stirred for days until it released its deep, blue soul. He would dip the hand-spun cotton, again and again, each dip deepening the color, each oxidation in the air bringing it closer to the color of a night sky pregnant with rain. The elders brought him the silver, not as thread, but as small, rough nuggets. Adom built a small, hot furnace and, with skills taught by the village metalsmith, painstakingly drew the silver into a fine, gleaming wire. He then spun this wire around the strongest cotton, creating a thread that held the flash of lightning within it. Safu saw it all. He saw the reverence, the authenticity, the connection to the land that he himself lacked. His envy festered, transforming into a wicked resolve. If he could not achieve such beauty, he would corrupt it. In secret, Safu wove a cloth, It was a clever fake. He used common brown clay for the umber, cheap green herbs for the ojoraisai, dyed raffia for the orange, and a quick, chemical indigo for the blue. For the lightning, he used thin strips of polished tin that shone brightly but would soon tarnish. He wove in darkness, his heart filled with spite. The night before the presentation, when the moon was a mere sliver in the sky, Safu crept to Adom's compound. Peering through the woven grass wall, he saw the finished cloth laid upon a low table. It took his breath away. The colors were alive and deep. The earth color was rich and smelled of rain. The green vibrated with life. The indigo was bottomless, and the silver lightning threads seemed to crackle with energy. It was a prayer made manifest. A hatred, hot and bitter, seized Safu. Silently, he slipped inside. He drew a sharp knife and, instead of stealing the cloth, he made a single, long, tearing cut across its center, slashing through the beautiful patterns. Then, he vanished back into the night, satisfied. Adom would be disgraced. The king would be furious. And Safu would be there to offer his flawless alternative. The next morning, the entire village gathered in the king's main courtyard. Drums beat a steady, anticipatory rhythm. King Jabari sat in state, adorned in his finest robes. Safu stood nearby, his face a mask of contrived worry. Adom entered, carrying the folded tribute. His heart was a heavy drum in his chest. He had found the vandalism at sunrise. There was no time to reweave. His only choice was the truth. "Show us," the king commanded, his voice full of excited pride. "Show us the prayer you have woven for the Orisha." With a deep breath, Adom unfolded the cloth. A wave of awe swept through the crowd. It was larger, more magnificent than anyone had imagined. The colors pulsed with the very essence of the valley. The people murmured in admiration. Then, the king's smile vanished. He lurched forward, his eyes wide with fury. "What is this?" he roared, pointing at the vicious gash. "A desecration. A ruin." The crowds all turned to shock. Safu stepped forward, his voice slick with false pity. "Adom, such carelessness. On the king's tribute, you have shamed us all." Adom looked from the enraged king to the deceitful Safu to the horrified faces of his community. He stood straight, the months of honest work giving him strength. "It is not carelessness, King Jabari," he said, his voice calm and clear over the murmur of the crowd. "It is sabotage. This cloth was whole and true when I left it last night. This wound was inflicted by a jealous hand." "Lies," the king thundered. "You blame others for your failure. You promised a cloth of truth. This is an insult. A torn cloth is no tribute. You have mocked the Orisha." He turned, his gaze searching for another solution. Safu saw his moment. "Perhaps the Orisha can still be appeased, great king," he said, bowing low. "Fearing that our hopes might be placed on unstable hands, I have also woven a tribute." He unveiled his own cloth. It was bright and gaudy, the colors harsh and artificial, the tin strips glaring. "It may lack the rustic charm of Adom's work," he said dismissively, "but it is complete and offered with a loyal spirit." The king looked from the stunning but slashed masterpiece to the garish but whole imitation. His face was a battle between disappointment and pragmatism. "Loyalty. Yes, this is what we need. You see, Adom, Safu shows foresight where you show failure." Adom held his ground. "Great king, you asked for a cloth woven with truth. This," he said, holding his damaged work high, "is the truth. It is the truth of the earth I gathered, the plants I harvested, the indigo I nurtured. It is the truth of my honest labor. And it is the truth that it was attacked by envy. To present a false cloth, woven with lies and cheap tricks, would be the deepest insult to the Orisha. They value the true heart over the whole lie." "Enough," the king yelled. "Your poetry cannot mend that tear. You are dismissed in disgrace." He motioned to his guards. "Safu's cloth will be our tribute." As the guards moved, an old, rasping voice cut through the tension. "Wait." It was Baba Kwame, the oldest man in the village, his back bent like a weathered branch, his eyes clouded but his spirit sharp. He shuffled forward, leaning on a staff of ironwood. "The young weaver's words have the ring of truth, king," he said. "The Orisha is not a king to be tricked with shiny things. It is the spirit of the land itself. It knows the smell of true earth and the stench of fossard. Let an old man see." He moved towards Adom's cloth. His gnarled, trembling hands did not look at the vibrant colors, but felt them. He rubbed the umber earth between his fingers and smelled its scent. He traced the pattern of the indigo, feeling the depth of the dye. He gently touched the cool, genuine silver threads. A slow smile spread across his wrinkled face. Then his fingers found the tear. He paused, his expression growing serious. "And you, Safu," he said, turning. "Your cloth. Let me feel its loyalty." Confident, Safu brought his cloth forward. Baba Kwame's fingers brushed the surface. He felt the flaky, dry texture of the cheap clay, the rough, poorly dyed raffia, the cold, hard slickness of the tin. He recoiled as if bitten by a scorpion. "This," he declared, his voice suddenly strong. "This is the insult. It is arrogance woven with lies. It screams of a hollow heart." He turned to the king. "Jabari, my son, your eyes see the tear, but they are blind to the spirit. This cloth," he pointed at Safu's, "is an empty calabash. Adom's cloth, though wounded, is an overflowing well. For it is true." A profound silence gripped the courtyard. King Jabari, humbled by the elder's wisdom, looked again. He saw the cheap, garish colors of Safu's work next to the profound, natural beauty of Adom's. He saw the jagged tear not as a ruin, but as a testament to a truth that had been violated. Safu, his deception exposed, broke. "He is always favored," he screamed, his malice finally naked for all to see. "His humble act fools you all. I am the better weaver." But his words were empty, washed away by the tide of the community's disapproval. He had not just damaged cloth, he had damaged the trust of the village. The king sank onto his stool, a man stripped of his pride. "You are cast out from Ukwewa, Safu, for your envy and your deceit." As Safu was led away, his cries fading, the king turned to Adom. "Forgive me, weaver. My vision was clouded. But the tear remains. The festival begins at dusk. What can be done?" Adom looked at the cloth, then at the elder, and finally at the king. "The tear is now part of its story," he said. "But a story can be mended. I cannot make the tear vanish, but I can honor its truth. May I have until dusk." Alone in his courtyard, Adom did not try to hide the repair. He took a strong, simple thread of pure, unbleached cotton, a thread of humility and honesty, and with meticulous care, he began to darn the tear. He did not weave a complex pattern to disguise it. He used the simple, strong stitch his mother had taught him for mending, a visible web of white against the vibrant colors. It was acknowledgement of the damage and the integrity it took to repair it. The white web sat starkly against the dark indigo and rich umber, not a flaw, but a testament. A promise kept. At dusk, the cloth was presented at the village's sacred stone altar overlooking the fields. As the last light of the sun hit the white repair, something miraculous happened. The simple cotton threads began to glow with a soft, golden light, as if holding the last piece of the sun within them. The tear now looked like a golden river, a new design of resilience woven into the original prayer. The villagers erupted in cheers and song. King Jabari placed a hand on Adom's shoulder, a gesture of deep respect. The tribute was accepted. That very night, the long-awaited rains came, gentle and soaking, a blessing upon the valley. From that day on, Adom was known as the Weaver of Truth. And in every piece he created, he always wove a single, subtle thread of unbleached cotton, a reminder that true value is not in untouched perfection, but in the strength to repair what is broken with honesty, and that the most beautiful patterns are often those woven by integrity itself.